Bitcoin looks like to be not done with going here into lower levels. I will show you today what I think, how low we are going to go and where we are most likely going to bounce from back to the upside. Let's go. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in here on this Saturday. I try to keep it really brief here in this video, so we jump directly into the Bitcoin CME chart here. So really brief, really quickly, CME closed yesterday at $105,000 more or less, and now we are most likely going to around $102,000, maybe even $100,000. We could even go and close that CME gap down here at $98,000. The worst case, which I for now still are ruling out. But we should keep this as a potential here, that CME gap still needs to be closed. But otherwise, around 102,000 is what I'm targeting for. And even that is a 3% move here back to the upside. Because usually what happens when we have a CME gap, when we open at $102,000, price comes up to close it, goes maybe even a little bit above that, pulls back, then continues to go higher. Why do I believe that we are going really soon back to the upside? One reason for that is that the funding rates have completely reset across the market, and usually when that happens, that means that we are close to a bottom and that a reversal is coming really soon, and that you have not a lot of time to actually buy the dip. When we go now into the Bitcoin chart, so here I have to be a little bit bearish right now because we are about to lose that support cluster from $103,200 to $107,000 approximately. If we lose that, the next major support level on the daily chart would be here at $97,000, basically the bottom from that impulse candle here to the upside. What speaks against that is that the stochastic is about to print a buy signal today. The RSI is here also potentially making a turn already, but the MACD might still need a little bit of time. So that could mean that maybe tomorrow we get one more push to the downside, close to or closer to the $100,000 level, and then on Monday we resume and go back to the upside, and then down here that would have been your buying opportunity. Here on this daily chart, things look pretty similar for the $100,000 level. There's only a few things that might save us, and one of them is here this volume bar here. So as long as we're not losing that, we stay above and staying above $102,600, we will not see $100,000. So, but if we are going down, then we test the 50 moving average. I warned you about this, that every single time when we get a golden cross, that we come back with the price action to test the 50, bounce from there, continue to go to the upside. My buying levels right now for a spot and for leverage are between $102,500 and $100,000. That's where I have set my limit orders to buy here in between for the next major leg here to the upside. When we're going then into the 1 hourly chart, also here I showed you just yesterday the case to be made that we come down to $102,680 approximately, because there is on the shorter time frames some support, and that from here we create the deviation and then get, as outlined here, the bounce back to the upside. So this is still possible. You just need to understand that this push needs to come from the shorter time frames, then spill over into the higher time frames, that we get that reversal. So, but this is still something that I'm looking at, that we are potentially getting from here, that bounce back to the upside. I'm going to show you here now also why I believe that this is definitely possible. And the reason for that are the MDX ALGO scalp gradients. I have pointed something out. Let me actually take here an arrow for that. I need to turn this around. So here you see we put in a dot plot, like a round dot plot, and from there got a massive impulse move back to the upside. So, and the same thing happened now. So here in the current candle, in 20 minutes this candle will close more or less. That dot plot will be confirmed, and it could mean that from here we start the next rally to the upside. And something else that we need to point out here is that the director indicator has already double confirmed that we are close to a bottom with these plots down here, and we are starting to turn here into a green phase, which usually means that we are about to get a bullish divergence, also meaning price is ready to bounce back to the upside. And at the same time, we are also running here into a major support level, again from $102,600 to $1,300 and $400. You see there is some confluence also around this level to hold as support here from the past. Basically here, this whole trading area from the price action is holding some support, but if we lose that, we go back into the psychological support level and will see a bounce from there back to the upside. Also on the liquidation levels, there is not much more to go down here. Can come down here into the last bit of the high leveraged liquidity on the long side, all the way down here to $101,000. Then that would be completely taken out, and at the same time we would get a retest of the 200 moving average on the 4-hourly chart, step below that, most likely come straight back, and then from there get that reversal that I'm talking about. And at the same time, we would liquidate these shorts that came pretty late and the shorts that are just sitting here in the high $100,000 area right now. We are also getting closer to the entry of that new trade setup that I had given yesterday here from $102,460. So that's why I meant earlier between $100,000 and $102,460 is where I'm going to buy for that position, to build this position, and from there I'm going to take it then all the way up to $115,000 approximately. So if you want to trade with me together that specific trade, guys, sign up on BLOFIN. It's a non-KYC exchange, really important. If you don't want to KYC yourself, plus that you will get access to my new alpha group on Telegram. Everything is described in the description and in the pinned comment below, guys. You can trade and earn on BLOFIN. You get up to $5,000 if you sign up there, so make use of that. It's an amazing platform. I know the team and everything. So go and yeah, make use of it. Now on the liquidation heat map, also here we are running out of liquidity that market makers go for to the downside. So here the last bid is around $102,900 approximately. We could go as low as $102,000 here on the liquidation heat map, but then market makers have to turn back to the upside, because here is the liquidity concentrated at $109,800, $111,200, $300. That's where they have to go, because there is the massive liquidity concentrated, and that's where they usually go for. So you see here's 130 million, there is 112 million, there's another 130 million, 60 million, another 111 million. So here I think from 112,400 to like 109,000, there is roughly $1 billion worth of short liquidity sitting on a silver plate, basically, for the taking for market makers once they're driving price up and trigger massive short squeeze. And when we look at the total free market cap, so here we are holding on to the $133 billion level. We are slightly below that support level, $136 billion, but we still have 12 hours. This can still change, that we get here a small bounce to stay above that level. Again, this is not really bearish for me in the short term, because this can easily change as early as next week. The Bitcoin dominance pumping here to the upside, not surprised. I warned you about this, that we could go back to like 65%. We got here a harsh rejection from 64.63% from that big resistance area, which is for me a really good sign. Now with that shooting star candle, I want to see with a red candle tomorrow to the downside, so that we form here an evening star pattern, which means a reversal to the downside for the Bitcoin dominance, and that will mean that altcoins go back to the upside. So when we're talking about altcoins and looking at Ethereum, the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, again, we have 1.5 days left to stay afloat above the upward sloping trend line. That's all what we want to see, because if we get this, then also here continuation is programmed into higher levels. So Ethereum itself is trying to hold on to that bullish pennant. We are slightly below our entry price. If you're not in this trade yet, wait for the reclaim of that level. But I can tell you on the daily chart, things start to look like that we are potentially getting a bounce in the next 48 hours. Because the RSI is turning around, stochastic hitting a bottom today, MACD not extremely bearish here by forking the two lines here, so they are not really forking far away from each other, and the candles are pretty shallow on the MACD. So that's usually a sign that there is some strength in Ethereum holding the price where we are currently standing, and basically just waiting for momentum to take us back to the upside. The only thing that is looking bearish here is the ascending triangle, because we broke out of that to the downside. So now we are still afloat above the 0.382 level on the Fibonacci extension levels at $2,500. As long as we are holding that, I reckon that we are going to see a deviation, that this here is the deviation, and we come back into it and then pump to the upside. If not, then the technical target for that breakdown would be all the way down here at $2,200 approximately. Again, for that to be happening, we need Bitcoin to go below $100,000. I'm not seeing that right now. But if it happens, that is the technical target. And if we come back here in the next 2 days into the ascending triangle, then the target remains here around the golden ratio, and this trade setup will be still valid. For Solana looks like that we are potentially actually going down to like $147 to step into that buy cluster here and take some liquidity and then come back to the upside. So if this is going to happen, so first of all, we can remove that trade setup because it's not valid anymore. And we should point out that we have here a falling broadening wedge 2, which is bullish, plus that we have the RSI already in oversold territory on the 4-hourly chart, plus the MACD is losing momentum, plus the stochastic RSI is flatlining here. So a lot of things are pointing also here to the fact that we are close to a bounce in Solana. So here just wait for a reclaim of $156 to enter that trade setup. That's also what I'm doing, but I'm also not closing this trade if we go lower. If we actually go down to $147, I will add here more. So I would then basically add here more to that position and just make it bigger. So and then I will put my stop loss kind of like here at $139. So you do what you want to do. That's just what I do with my Solana trade. But that's what I'm basically looking at. So I will not go into other altcoins. I will send some altcoins in the new Telegram group. Again, sign up on BLOFIN, deposit at least $50. Then send me a message with your BLOFIN number to add you to the group. There I'm gonna give some generational entries if we are getting them in a couple of hours. And low leverage. You can also use low leverage on them, but only in that Telegram group. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in on that Saturday here. Don't forget, smash up the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you with more profit, hopefully, tomorrow.